Hello dear parents, welcome back. If you're parenting a child through adoption and are baffled by those big behaviors such as lying, aggression, what seems like defiance, manipulation, and you're at your wit's end, you have tried connecting with your child and it does not seem to work. And today we're diving into a topic which I find many adoptive parents stumble upon out of desperation, and it's called Reactive Attachment Disorder. For short, we also call it RAD, R-A-D. We're going to talk about what RAD really is, how it's different from insecure attachments, why traditional therapy often doesn't help, and what that means for your child and for you. So today there's no worksheet, but instead I'm going to link to a blog post and a website that is very informative about reactive attachment disorder. So I'll link that in the description box below. Before we dive in, if you're new here, welcome. I'm ADHD. I help Christian adoptive parents navigate the post-adoption season with faith, neuroscience, and connection to move through the trauma, distress, and overwhelm to a nurturing home, healing connections, and to walk in the grace and wisdom that God provides. And in this channel, I share gentle encouragement, faith-filled wisdom, and trauma-informed tools for adoptive parents walking through this real, hard, and beautiful journey of parenting. So let's dig in. As usual, I hope you have your tea, your coffee, and we can discuss RAD together. So what is RAD? Last week we discussed the 4 different types of attachment. The secure attachment, the healthy form of attachment, and then we discussed the other 3, which are the avoidant, the ambivalent or the anxious, and the disorganized attachment, which is quote-unquote the unhealthy or the insecure part of attachment. Now, RAD is different from this. The 4 attachment types are just types of attachment. There is some form of attachment in that, but RAD is actually an attachment disorder. It's reactive attachment disorder, so it's actually diagnosed by usually a professional, a psychiatrist, and it's a developmental trauma disorder. It comes out of trauma. It occurs when a child has experienced early abuse, neglect, loss, or repeated disruptions in caregiving, long before they had the capacity to understand or process what was happening. For them, it's actually a brain and body survival adaptation that they had to learn, and that forms when the child's earliest needs go unmet and unsafe relationships shape their entire view of connection. Of learning, I can trust others to meet my needs, the child learns, I have to stay in control to survive. Unfortunately, once that pattern is wired into the nervous system, it's not something that traditional parenting or even traditional therapy can easily undo. So let's discuss the difference between RAD versus the insecure attachment. So those 3 other types of attachment which fall under insecure, so which is not secure attachment. Because a lot of people confuse RAD with insecure attachment styles, like the anxious, the avoidant attachment, but these are not the same. So insecure attachment may look like fear of abandonment or trouble with closeness, but the child still wants connection, even if they struggle to trust it. But children with RAD, they have often shut connection down entirely, and connection doesn't feel safe for them, so control does, and they try to control every relationship, every situation, and that's what makes it hard. So they might lie, they might manipulate, triangulate adults, sabotage relationships, and again, not because they are bad kids, but because their nervous system is stuck in that fight, flight, or freeze. It might find it very hard for you as a parent because you're trying, and it feels like you're stuck. Now, children with RAD are often misdiagnosed with ADHD, ODD, ASD, or even mood disorders. And why does this happen? Because there's a huge overlap among the symptoms. So there's impulsivity, there's defiance, emotional outbursts, lack of empathy, even extreme people pleasing. Now, when the root is attachment trauma, just treating the symptoms without addressing this fear-based control just doesn't work. And we've often find this in therapy that they attend, any medication that they take because they were misdiagnosed. See why traditional therapy falls short from this one. So most therapy models are built around a trusting relationship with the therapist. But what happens when a child can't trust, or when they're not emotionally safe enough to be vulnerable? So that's what makes RAD so difficult to treat. In fact, we find that in traditional outpatient therapy can actually backfire, especially if the therapist excludes parents from sessions, because children with RAD may manipulate the therapist, shift blame, or reinforce unsafe dynamics. And this is what often leads to triangulation, where one parent is made to look bad, like the problem, and the child's trauma response goes unaddressed. And we'll talk more about therapy and what works and what doesn't work in the next video, where we're just going to discuss more about treatment and what helps. But what's really essential is that effective therapy must include the parents and work towards rebuilding trust within the family system. So I always say, like in my working as a therapist as well, we used to involve the parents as much as possible, because we understand that as a therapist, I'm there for a very short time period in the child's life, and I'm just going to build trust, and sometimes that can kind of like perpetuate what happened to them in the past, where someone that they trust leaves, because that's the way the relationship is with a third. But the parent is there more for long-lasting relationship, and what's important is to build this trust relationship within the family, so that the child can feel supported and the parents feel supported to know how to support the child. Let's talk a little bit about neuroscience, what's actually happening to the child. So a child with RAD isn't misbehaving on purpose. They are living from this nervous system response that sees connection as a threat. So their brain has been shaped by survival, not safety. This means that they literally can't access logic, empathy, or connection when they feel that dysregulation. It's not about they won't behave. It's about they can't feel safe enough to trust and to connect. And until their body and brain can register the safety, no therapy technique or parenting script will reach them. And I want to also talk about you. What about you? So if you're listening and you're thinking, that's my child, there's something else I want you to know. So the physical, the emotional, and mental toll of parenting blocked care, it's a trauma adaptive state where your own nervous system has started to shut down connection to. It's a form of protection. So you still love your child deep down, but the constant stress has left you feeling numb, distant, or full of resentment. And again, this is not a failure, it's just a survival response. It's your own body protecting you from the constant stress of trying to deal with someone who has RAD. My work actually revolves around supporting adoptive parents through blocked care. I have a lot of videos planned to explore what blocked care is and how you can work through it. Remember, it is okay for you to need support too, so that you can support others as well, so that you can actually support your family. If you're a person of faith, this is where I want to pause and say, God sees you. He sees those long nights, the rage fits, the broken trusts, and the endless trying. And He does not expect you to carry this alone. There is support, there is grace, and there is a way forward, even if healing looks different than you imagined. Just I want to invite you to rest in Him, give it all to Him, reach out to Him, and just find that comfort in letting Him lead you into the next direction when you're working with your child. If this video has helped you to put words to what you're experiencing or opened your eyes to what might be going on beneath the surface, I want to invite you to stick with me. So in the next video next week, we're going to talk about how do we support kids with reactive attachment disorder and you as the parent. So make sure to subscribe, share with another adoptive parent who might find this video helpful, and also a professional who might need to hear this. Don't forget the link to the article and the website. There's lots of information about reactive attachment disorder. And again, you can share with professionals so that they would know how things work differently with children who are actually diagnosed with RAD. And if you want practical support on this journey, I invite you to check out my group coaching program. It's a faith-informed, neuroscience-backed group program for adoptive parents like you. You're not alone. There is hope, and I'm so glad that you're here. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.